We've got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 on the PS4. It's the next best thing. And in fact, I was so excited for the launch of this game that I couldn't resist. I had to get the collector's edition with the limited edition Birdhouse deck.
And oh boy, what a game it is. This is far from my favourite Tony Hawk game of all time in terms of gameplay and soundtrack, but it's so cool to see a HD 60 frames per second remake of two PS1 classics that give you so much more than just a simple remastering. You can manual and ramp revert in all the games to keep combos going, you can wall ride, you can wall plant, you can do ridiculous special tricks, you can spine and hip transfer. This is essentially a modern Tony Hawk game with everything included from the older ones, thrown into the mission-based gameplay style and level design of the original two Pro Skaters. And honestly, even though I'm not a fan of the frustratingly minuscule 2-minute time limit every time you just want to play, this is the best Tony Hawk game in my opinion for years.
After putting a few hours into this little gem though, it gave me an itch that I haven't felt since the last time I went to the doctors.
I felt like going back through my shelves again and picking up the really old skateboarding games that I used to love as a kid. More specifically, Tony Hawk's Underground 2 Remix on the PSP and Tony Hawk's American Skateland on the DS. These two games I put so many hours into, and were not only the first Tony Hawk games I ever played, but the first skateboarding games I ever played in general, that further developed my my love for skateboarding as a sport. See this photo? This is the youngest photo of teenage me that exists on the internet.
You heard me right, you're talking to an ex-skater here. So after I played these two games here, I gathered up all the money I could and then bought all of the skating games I could in order for me to make yet another ridiculously long video that will drive me to drink. But hey, I didn't want to start this marathon video off negatively if I'm talking about one of my favourite ex-pastimes, so I figured we could start the video nice and light with the impetus. Skateboarding.
Yes, believe it or not, for home consoles at least, this is where it all started. Skateboarding. The logo, the ghastly outfit, the Toys R Us sticker, the abrasive colour scheme, and that face. That disease of a face. I don't think I can wait any longer, so say it with me everybody. 3, 2, 1, go! This is skateboarding, everyone. This silent, terrifying vacuum is skateboarding on the Atari 2600. No sound, no music, no anything. Absolute entertainment? That's a bold claim. This was the peak of entertainment, was it? I can't quite say I'm absolutely entertained by staring at a little pink horse jockey, wondering if he's holding a skateboard or a giant hot dog. Okay, I need to be fair. This game was made in 1987 for the Atari 2600. This was the very first home console skateboarding game of all time. So I need to judge this as a game of its time, even though I'm walking around in silence around a ghost town while this clock counts down to when my heart stops to put this freak out of his misery.
There's not that much skating going on though, is there? So what do you actually do? I have no idea, but this is Atari, and it's got a joystick and one button, so we haven't really got much choice, do we? So let's press the button and see what happens.
Ah! Ooh!
Since we already look like a horse jockey, you know what they say about them? If they fall off the horse, what do? Get straight back on.
So you may be looking at this and wondering, what the hell am I looking at? And to be honest, I'm with you there. I have no clue what's going on. This was the era of games just kind of dropping you into the thick of it without so much as a cookie and expecting you to know exactly what it's trying to tell you. I mean, I know we can skate, I know we can crash, and I know that this indescribable thing is unable to be skated on, but we can also phase through the trees no issue at all, so your guess is as good as mine when it comes to what's going on. Oh! That's a ramp? I thought they were stairs! I guess this was before straight diagonal lines were invented. Well, whatever. We've got an objective now. Find all 30 ramps and jump off of them, while occasionally crouching down looking like you're propelling yourself with your own gas. So, yeah, this is the whole game. Find ramps, jump off of them. And don't worry about the trucks, they can't hurt you. You've got ginger hair, they don't stand a chance. But the best thing about this is undoubtedly the music, purely because the game is silent for every other moment, aside from when you jump on your skateboard. And that tune, my god, you cannot help but love it. And even better, you don't only have free control on when this bouncy little sea shanty starts, but whenever you bail and then start skating again, you reset the tune to the very beginning. Every single time. Lego Island Extreme Stunts is a useless cream on the stump of a man with no arm. Be Pepper, the stuntman hero. Oh yes, because as we all know, Pepper is the master of all stunts. Speaking of, you're gonna spell extreme with an X but not spell stunts with a Z? That's a missed opportunity there. Right, I'm ready to go. What have you got in store for me, Lego Island 3? Well, as it turns out, Lego Island 3 is all about Pepper being the stuntman in an upcoming movie being filmed on the island. And that's it, really. And after the beginning with that, epic stunt stunt, we then get thrown into another stunt where we just drive a car and deliberately crash it over and over again. Not sure that's classifiable as a stunt, but if it is, I suppose that means Lindsay Lohan is the greatest stunt driver of all time. Well, hey, howdy, hey, look at that, I got a high score. What's upsetting though is that after all of that, I don't think I could have done the stunt that well because everything that I just did wasn't even used in the cut that they filmed. I'm pretty sure that isn't even me. Are they just sick and tired of Pepper and his stupid pun name and want to try killing him while pretending he's gonna be in a Hollywood movie? Is this stunt movie just a big convenient cover-up to murder Pepperoni in a horrible accident? I've gotta say, I'm feeling very sorry for him right now. Now, I may have joked earlier about Pepper being a terrible master of stunts, but I'll be damned, he's had a serious upgrade to his movement from Lego Island 2. He can properly skateboard and do tricks whenever he wants, he can double jump stupidly high for some great explorative platforming. For a PS2 game, Extreme Stunts looks pretty good, and much like Bionicle, runs as smooth as butter, making the exploration around the island more enjoyable along with the great controls. This is the best island in the Lego Island series by far, followed by the first one, and the second one didn't happen. Sure, the car physics are a bit shit, Pepper, stop it. But so far, I like this game. I even found myself a skate park to get the hang of the wonky skateboard trick controls, and before you're able to start filming other stunts, you need to get a license to drive, a license to fly, and a license to water. After which, you don't only get to film the said stunts in little mini games to progress the story, but also get to use the vehicles that you got the license for all around the island anytime you want. Instead of brute forcing you into a series of lackluster and childish mini games that you have no choice but to do in the order they make you, like in Lego Island 2, all you do here is explore, find bricks to build different animals around the area, collect trading cards, and do the stunt missions as and when you want to, depending on how many items you've earned from other mini games based on helping other locals out with their own problems and doing other stunts. Now, there is a side plot, believe it or not. You aren't just filming a stunt movie, you're also trying to catch the Brickster on camera trying to murder you on the set. And you'd think that after one miserable slide puzzle that proves definitively that the Brickster is trying to end me, that would be enough proof to lock him back up.
Need more to put that pesky Brickster behind bars.
Out of all of these things though, you want to know why this is the best Lego Island game I've played for this video? Because Pepper shuts his gob and doesn't say anything. So here we have a quaint little game called Ooh Move, which is what old ladies say to me when I sit next to them on the bus. And you can tell from the box that we're in for a rip-roaring good time because the lady in the TV is out of focus. First off, we have the art studio for all the miscellaneous trash that doesn't fit the theme of sports. We have blurred slow motion.
Welcome to my stand-up. I have a joke for you. Get ready. Sew your pants, because they'll leak. What happened to me when this morning I missed the bus? We have Defrosty. Oh no, nobody can see me. What am I gonna do? Oh, I know. Make it see me. And lag. We have Sand. So apparently this is what we're calling Sand. Sand is more or less exactly like, I'm going to distort my voice and talk to you about my horrible traumatic experience dealing with a former children's TV presenter. At this point, I could like roll my sleeve up. We have Party Time. Are you okay? You are not okay. When was the last time anyone went to a party like this? Stop looking at me. I don't know what you think I can do for you, but I can't do that. This is borderline analog horror. I feel as though something's gonna come from the dark behind me. Stop it. What? Do I dance? Oh, you do! We have Kaleidoscope. And here we see the plumage of the blossoming Gymnoscadus. That part is where the seeds are sown. Oh my god, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. We have Lawnmower. Oh, shall I mow the whole lawn and see what happens? I'm gonna see what happens if I mow the whole lawn. I'm not mowing the lawn anymore. And we even have this. Bouncing baby. I've always wanted to bounce one of them. False advertising. I wanted to smack a baby. But we don't care about any of that. We want to move. Okay, well, I don't want to move, but we want sports. Well, no, I don't want sports either. No, I don't want any of this. First off, we have perfect goalie. Only one problem, though. Just like William Shakespeare,
It doesn't work. I don't know, maybe we finally reached the point where it's nothing to do with how good the camera itself is, but how the devs are able to make it work. I should have been able to save at least half of these goals, but it just didn't work properly. How can you go from accurate angle wood chopping and spit bubble clapping to your entire body not being able to block a ball? I know, maybe it's because the game is too quick, so how about we slow it down with ball-tossing aliens? Up next is yellow card. Watch out for those yellow cards. Wave your hands over the referee's hands to persuade him not to penalise you. You know how in real football that the referee gets somebody's card out and then they just give him a little tickle and then the card goes away? You'd think this would be more engaging than just wave over one person at a time and wait until you're able to wave at somebody else, but nope, that's honestly all that you do. It's mind-numbing, but you gotta keep going. Could you live with yourself if your high score was lower than fudge? Honest to God, what is going on with your head? I swear someone dropped this on London during the Blitz. Space Breakout. You're bouncing a football and playing Breakout. What more does a growing boy need? Not really much to say here. It's fine. So we'll move on to the next game, which is called Dribbling. Yes! It's another slug game where you move a ball left and right between cones very slowly. You know, for a game that's telling me you move, it sure is spending a lot of its time telling me you stand still. Look at me. Look at me. This is the face of someone alert and ready for another iToy football game. Except he isn't, because I'm gonna skip the rest of them and see what else there is to do.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm not sorry about that. What you'll find with a lot of the iToy library is that they're just minigame compilations that are all variations of the exact same idea.
I'm not doing the same thing over and over again. I'd rather play Batting Frenzy. Or Rugby Clash that tells you to run, block and throw but doesn't work properly. Or Horse Racing that's spelled wrong because maybe the name of the horse is Horsey and lets you ride the back of a horse while spanking it and looking at the cured prosciutto ham coming out of its mouth. Or Hole in One that isn't golf at all and is just pushing everything away from a ball that's been hit by someone else with a snowman on his head, and that ends with a high score photo being taken of you while you weren't expecting it. Happy birthday. Okay, I'm gonna stop teasing you. Here we go. This was the game I was talking about. The PS1 Heavyweight that actually started a million new skating game trends and spawned 1,000 poor man imitators. Tony Hawk's Skateboarding. Okay, it's not as catchy as Pro Skater, but did you know that proskater is a curse word in the UK? Yeah, it's true. It's very bad to say. So when this game came out in the UK, they changed the name of it. And if you don't like that, then you can suck my proskater. Now this was the one you were waiting for me to talk about, wasn't it? The good stuff, the original, the classic, the start of extreme sports games being so good that everybody would try copying it for years to come. The slow, the clunky, the lumpy, the not quite as good as your nostalgia would have you think. Yeah, I'm sorry guys, there is absolutely no point going back to Pro Skater 1 in my opinion, unless you survive off of disappointment. Don't get me wrong, this game is a classic, make no mistake. It planted every seed it needed to with the creative level design that took everyday locations and turned them into skateboard theme parks, and popularized the addictive gameplay loop of performing tricks while exploring to earn VHS tapes and unlock more levels. But there's so much not here, especially if you like the later Tony Hawk games. You can't manual to link tricks together on flat surfaces, you can't revert after landing from ramps, the level selection is pretty small, as are the levels themselves, and take around 3 attempts at maximum to finish. The controls feel a little on the heavy side, especially with getting air off of ramps. You can't wall ride or wall plant for more combo and level design potential, and it doesn't matter how hard you try or how good you smell, it's so easy to not land properly or outright clip through the obstacles. Tony Hawk Pro Skater is Crash Bandicoot 1. It's fine for what it is and amazing at the time compared to the competition. But nah, nowadays it feels like a bathroom trip after Mexican night.
There was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
This is where, in my opinion, the legend was truly born. Pro Skater 2 put the dev team Neversoft on the map because at this point, they gave up on realism and stopped making you feel like you were skateboarding on a recycling bin. This was the beginning of creating your own skater, and you could call him Criff, who lives in the sink and is 5 years old. He also looks like this, but don't laugh at him, Criff is shy. This was where you could begin to use stat points that you earned in the campaign to max out all of your abilities and your balance sensitivity. This was where you could edit and customize your tricks. You could create and edit your own bloody bloody parks. And how about the levels? There were more of them, they had a dump load more to do and far more secrets to see, with environmental pieces to completely destroy with your sickness. They came with cash prizes that you could spend in the shop for more customization options. You could be hit by trains, but more importantly, there were more tricks, which not only meant crazier scores, but way more ways to link them together, with the ability to manual on the street and wall ride across vertical surfaces. And then there were the cheats. Oh lord, the cheats. You can believe you can fly, you can become a big boy, you can escape the game, you can go on the Atkins diet, but easily the coolest part, you could be Spider-Man. Wait, what? The judges only gave me 99.9? What do you mean 99.9? Did you see what I just did? That's not enough for a full score? At least give me a chicken nugget.
Now don't get me wrong, I'm still not a fan of the 2-minute time limit for the career mode. You could argue that it's arcadey and challenging, but I argue it's restrictive, stressful, and doesn't let you fully take in or explore the brilliant level design. And if you just so happen to agree with me on that, then don't worry, because the Tony Hawk series eventually did get rid of it. They kept on being made, they kept on improving, nobody could stop them, not even my mum. And she could stop a freight train by frowning at it.
There was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 that introduced ramp reverts to further keep your combos going after you got major air. There are hidden flips and grabs you can pull off by double tapping buttons, and you can be a Star Wars. There was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, which ditches the time limit for career mode and turns every level into a free roaming affair, along with the new ability to spine and hip transfer over ramps, skits on the back of cars to pick up speed, double tap buttons while you're grinding and manualing to change the move that you're doing during the current grind or manual to add more to your combo score, and you can be a Star Wars. There was Tony Hawk's Underpants. There was Tony Hawk's Underground that gives you an entertaining story mode where you start from the bottom in a tacky dump neighborhood and rise to the top as you work with skateboarding pros who star as themselves. You can dismount your board to get around tighter level design a little easier. You can level up naturally as you skate around and unintentionally complete hidden challenges related to the types of tricks that you do. You can bounce off of the walls with a wall plant. You can spam flip buttons like crazy to do more than triple flips to your flip tricks. You can spam buttons to recover from bailing faster. There was Tony Hawk's Underground 2. You could also Nata spin on the top of small pillars, or is it Nature spin or Nata spin? I don't know. You could spray on the walls like a bad boy, but I mean spray with graffiti and not with Wii. Tony Hawk looks like an eggplant, and if you bail from a trick, you can tap buttons really fast and then break your board in half, which does absolutely nothing but waste your time. There was Tony Hawk's American... Jesus! There was Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, which is basically the same as all the other games, but felt much smoother and faster. Gives you much bigger levels that are interconnected with their own day and night cycle without any loading screens. There's a story mode that allows you to build your own park from scratch, and in my favorite feature, you can even ride a stunt BMX whenever you want to. How cool is that? I also had a major crush on this girl when I was a teenager, but she's not real, so it didn't work out. There was Tony Hawk's Project 8, and I'm not really sure what they were eating when they made this. This whole thing here, this is just completely unnecessary. Also, Tony Hawk looks ill. Is he doing okay? Oh, hey there, Rodney Mullen.
Right on.
You aren't looking too good either. And then there was Tony Hawk's Proving Ground that makes the balance meter take up the whole screen, and it is really ugly. It runs like trash. Tony Hawk's Proving Ground.
And that concludes all of my thoughts on the mainline Tony Hawk games, specifically in the Neversoft era, which most people consider the only true era. And if you want to know my favourite one, I would have to go with American Wasteland, but closely followed in joint second place by Pro Skater 4 and Underground. And so, after Proving Ground came out, I suppose Neversoft couldn't prove to anybody that they should keep making Tony Hawk games, and immediately after they left, they were taken over by a new team known as Robo Modo, and they were going to take the Hawk to new heights. And then that same Hawk did a dive bomb into the sea and drowned, because the end of their era came to a halt with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Released in 2015 for the PS4 and Xbox One, everybody hated this game when it launched, including me. For a game labeling itself as the 5th mainline entry after the fantastic Pro Skater 4 and the 17th Tony Hawk game in general, this honestly felt like a joke. And there are plenty of videos on the subject demonstrating exactly why that is. And the thing is, without playing it yourself, when you just see the game in motion, sure, it's not groundbreaking or anything, but it doesn't look like worst game of the year material, and that's why I ended up buying it, because it looks completely okay. In fact, when you play it, it even functions, dare I say. I thought everybody was exaggerating and jumping on the hate train 5 years ago, but after only a few minutes, you'd quickly understand where everybody was coming from. Pro Skater 5's file size itself is around 4 gigabytes, meaning that the 8 gigabyte patch to fix the issues the game had was 200% bigger than the game itself. That's the same as going to the hospital because your wang is too big, but then having the problem sorted by being given another one triple the size of the last one.
Well, I mean, I'm not complaining, it's not a problem for me.
So okay, maybe the 12 gigabytes total of game here is only because Pro Skater 5 is stuffed with content, and it's probably graphically insane compared to every other game in the series. There's absolutely nothing in this game, and it looks as pretty as a carnivorous plant. You'd never believe it, but Pro Skater 5 takes nearly every element that was tweaked and improved over the previous 16 years of Tony Hawk games and just completely gets rid of it. Create a skater, a large number of levels, varied and level-specific missions, pedestrians, large explorative levels with plenty of secrets, a huge number of real-life impossible tricks to customize. Gone.
You know when you're describing people that are miserable all the time and you call them a fun sponge? Well, that's what this game is. It's a fun sponge. Actually, that doesn't make any sense, because if you're a fun sponge, that means you're sucking up all the fun, which means that you're full of fun. So I guess that means you're a fun raincoat. There's no fun in here.
Oh, and the physics? The 12 gigabytes total worth of physics? They're not just gone. They left forever and don't even pay me child maintenance. In fact, 5 years ago, I did an entire video about the broken ineptitude this game seeps with, which would be the tiniest bit more forgivable if the patch actually fixed the physics, and this wasn't a PS4 game that barely looked beyond the Pro Skater games on the PS2 and Xbox. Even the mission markers don't work. The mission markers! Because the only way you can activate them is by standing still after you find them, which in itself is pointless because you can just go to the pause menu and select them from there anyway. There's also this mechanic they added in. I don't know what it's called, but I'm going to call it the pissy plummet because that's all it does. It just pisses all over the combo score and ruins any run you're in the middle of. For some baffling reason, Robomodo decided to add in this feature where by pressing a button, you slam down towards the floor at tremendous force, which isn't the worst idea on paper, but when they made the button that activates it the same exact button as the grind, you'll quickly understand how irritating this is. You'll want to grind, but instead just flop into the concrete at 1,000,000 miles an hour, or you'll slam directly into the rails you try to grind on, meaning that stuff like this happens all the time. Taking away all of that though, as a game itself and a PS4 mainline Tony Hawk game, it's one of the most dreary and stripped back games I've ever played. Every single mission is copied and pasted on every level, there's no sense of humor, no character, no atmosphere, no dialogue, nothing. Get the balls out of this bowl and get the balls out of this bowl. Smash these things here for no reason at all, and smash these things here for no reason at all. Did you know that there is a fighting game on Steam where you get to play as Jesus Christ? This is Fight of Gods, and even though the game isn't explicitly about Jesus, you get to play as him beating the shit out of Moses.
So what are the pros and cons of this game? Well, the pros are, it's a fighter, you can play as Jesus, you get to beat up Moses.
Just look at how he arrives into the arena.
I'm back for the people.
Jesus doesn't need to try and get out of his prison. He takes the prison with him. And don't worry, if fighting Moses is a little bit too racy for you, then you can always beat up Father Christmas. The only problem with Fight of Gods for me, though, is that I blow chunks. It's way too hard for me, and I can't tell if it's because the game isn't very good or I just can't play it right. Every special move I tried happened by complete accident, and even when I changed the difficulty down to very easy, I still got destroyed.
This game nails you harder than me.
Toy Anti-Grab, the only game I can think of where it advertises itself by showing a boy with no head jumping over his TV with his jeans falling down and his boxers hanging out. This game was made by Harmonix, the same people behind the original Guitar Hero and Rock Band. That's odd. But more importantly, what even is this bit here? What is that in your pants, man? Why are you keeping a white rose in your trousers? Well, first things first, this intro goes hard. I am digging this style, and then after a super quick head calibration test, we turn into fog and then we get to pick our character, who all have great things to say, like,
I get my kicks busting tricks like a lunatic.
And there's even a cameo from Tetsuo the Iron Man. Don't let him touch you though, you'll get rusty. But ultimately I went with this guy, whose name is Compound. Compound the Man. Why is he called Compound? It's like having a baby and naming him Car Park. And as you could probably guess from the cover, Toy Anti-Grab is a hoverboard game that requires your whole body to make it work. Would you believe it though when I say that Toy Anti-Grab, a game that's 6 years older than Sonic Riders, on a console 32 times less powerful than the Xbox 360, using a motion capture device half the resolution and lacking the infrared technology of Kinect, works infinitely better than it. Because it does. All of the ducking, all of the jumping, all of the leaning, all of the arm reaching out at multiple levels while standing or bending down, all of the arm movements needed for air tricks, all of the steering and slowing down, all of the flying with your arms held out like a dying Christ. Everything you see here not only works well, but is also reliable. The only thing I couldn't get working was how sensitive the name enter screen was, so I guess CAC will have to do. But bigger picture, look everyone, I managed to win a race. Twice. I even got a high score on the combo trick race, and I couldn't even do one trick in Tony Hawk Ride, which had no camera at all. Caddicarus.
Honestly, this game is good. I'm speechless.
Exact same things can be said about Kinect Sports too, even though it doesn't look like anyone on the cover wants to be there. I love stepping on my son. Take Wii Sports and remake it so that you use your entire body instead of just your hands, and you have Kinect Sports. Just like Kinect Adventures, it's really basic stuff, but I can't knock it because it works really damn well. It knows where I'm leaning, it knows where I'm twisting, it knows where my knees are, it knows when I'm kicking, it knows how much force I put into arm swings, it knows how fast I roll my arms, it even knows when I'm having a drink of water. I'm so impressed I could just go and buy a phone on T-Mobile. The only sport here I didn't really like, to be honest, was football. Not only because I don't like it to begin with, I mean, just look at me, I'm thrilled to be here, but also because it's just a load of standing around, waiting for you to have the ball, waiting for a tutorial window to leave you alone, and then kicking it to the next person while you wait to have the ball, wait for a tutorial window to leave you alone, and then kick it again. It's honestly quite boring, and I won way too easily. One thing I did notice while playing both of these games, though, was something very cool about the Kinect camera itself. I've never seen this happen on any other Kinect game before, but I think the reason these two games work so well is because it actually tracks your movement as you run, duck, and jump in order to get the best accuracy possible. They clearly knew what they were doing here, and I can respect that for launch titles, but I still wouldn't recommend actually buying either of them. They're too rudimentary and wear out their welcome in a few minutes.
So what do you do if you're a skater and you want to play a skateboarding game, but you've had enough of Tony Hawk? I don't know. You play another game and get another random guy in it, like with MTV Sports Skateboarding featuring Andy McDonald.
Finally, two of my favourite things together, MTV and Andy McDonald. And if you don't know who Old McDonald is, don't worry, because there's 14 other pro skaters to choose from, like Colin McKay, Rick Howard, Heidi Fitzgerald, and Rob Dark Black. Well, that's kind of redundant, isn't it? I mean, you can't get a light black, can you? What's my name? Imps. But as we will soon see, you can even pick between a load of original characters for the story mode, like Jason Case, Steve Seagull, and David Wastebasket. And then you've got my personal favourite, Anna Graham, who left her dinner on her face. I think, though, I'm going to pick Wendy Jones for the good balanced stats, and away we go. Whoa! Hey there, lady. I think you should go to the doctors. You've got a nasty-looking CD growth on your chest. Okay, so this game may be taking the same ideas as Tony Hawk, but I would say it was only in the naming. Andy McDonald feels like it keeps nearly everything the same as a Tony Hawk game, yet adds in new methods of inputting tricks to avoid copyright infringement. So like, instead of holding a direction button down and then pressing an action button to activate a grab, flip, or a grind, you hold the action button down first and then press a direction to perform the trick. Which wouldn't be too bad, aside from the fact that this control delay is shocking. Not even kidding, check this out. Caddy no likey. It's basically a Tony Hawk ripoff that moves at the speed of an oil extraction. By the time the game even registers a trick, you've already flopped on the floor and died. I've got to say though, the booing is a little unnecessary, especially when most of the time I go straight up a ramp and the game bails me for absolutely no reason. Why are you booing me? I went up in a straight line and Andy McDonald pushed me off my board. No big surprise here, but I did end up failing, and then I got this timeless bit of advice. You should try staying on the skateboard, and just for that sentence, I'm quitting the game forever. Bye-bye, Andy McDonald. Old McDonald had a farm. What do you mean he had a farm? Where did it go? Being a spy is stressful. So I'm gonna have more baby playtime with iToy Play 3. Oh my god, what's that? Includes mega bonus disc? Shitting yes, what's on it? Yes! I can play them again. In smaller, bite-sized versions. This is also the 7th game in this video so far made by London Studio, PlayStation's London development team, and where most of the iToy library was made. You know, now that I think about it, this camera was initially released for Europe only to see how it performed, hence the London development team, which is probably why most people I meet don't know what the hell this thing is whenever I bring it up. In fact, looking into it, out of all 28 games made for the iToy, only 8 of them came out in America. This is all starting to make sense now. I was wondering why everyone I met who hadn't heard of iToy was holding a Twinkie and an AR-15. What Play 3 does do to avoid feeling like the same game again, though, is pretty smart. It gives your living room legs. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. And it also gives you less actual themes of game to choose from, but then potatoes up the meat by splitting those themed games up into multiple mini-games. So like, instead of getting bored just playing drums for a game on its own, or just playing guitar, or just playing trombone, now you're thrown back and forth between all of them at the same time in one game, so that you can finally finally be Jim and the Gyms, which then also gets further split up with a bodyguarding minigame against rabid fans rushing the stage. And let's just say, my band attracts a type. The same applies to all of the games on Play 3, including the hair salon one featuring nail chewing, sports games featuring a very unfortunate pose.
No!
I legit had more fun with the bowling game here than I did with Wii Bowling, even if I did have to look at this guy's sweaty card reader. Yes, it's more of the same. Yes, I'm getting sick of looking at myself. Yes, I still hate this little bastard's voice. So what? I still had fun with it, and it works well.
Oh boy, everyone, it's Simon 3. Yay, a donut!
The final in the original classic trilogy made by Insomniac Games, and what a fitting developer, because as a kid, Spyro 3 made me into an Insomniac. 6-year-old me played this game until he ate his own hands off, true story. It's the best game of the original trilogy to me, without a doubt. I know people think it's the second one, but this game has a kangaroo doggy paddling in a lake. You're wrong. Is it because of nostalgia? Yes. But there's literally nothing I dislike in this game or don't look forward to. Nothing. The worst part in any single Spyro game that's ever been released is in Spyro 3. Yes, I'm not exaggerating. Spyro 2 has more low points, but this single low point in 3 topples all of them on its own. The boxing match with Bentley and this filthy rat is utterly unplayable. You're supposed to have 3 attacks and a block, but absolutely none of these moves come out when you need them to. Either the delay is way too much, or Bentley is way too slow. Whatever the case, this stinking piss rag is able to perform every move at twice the speed as you, and somehow manages to combo when you're unable to, and blocks nearly every attack you perform like he's reading your mind. I could go on all day about this abominable challenge, especially when you win 1 egg for beating it once, but then need to survive for 3 rounds for a second egg, and come out the other end with the most health, which if you aren't deathly lucky, will take you over half an hour, and it's enough to give me a Diane Weist infection. Now ask yourself this, if a video game about a platforming purple dragon came out in the year 2000, what will it add into it to make it immediately much better? That's right, skateboarding. I shit you not, there's Spyro, the magical fantasy medieval dragon, on a skateboard in space. This is the most long john backwards ass thing I think I've ever seen, but man, I just don't care. It's so much fun, especially the races when you have to keep doing tricks mid-air to build up a speed boost. How can you not love this? Look at him go! That's how I feel about Simon 3 as a whole, actually. It can get pretty stupid, but I just don't care because I'm having too much fun with it. Moving on to Shrek again, but this time on the GameCube, here is Shrek Super Slam. The game begins with Donkey trying desperately to get his dragon-donkey hybrid offspring to sleep. After that, we see Shrek reading some bedtime stories to try getting the kids to sleep. You then discover that this is, in the simplest of terms, 3D Smash Brothers. You spend all of the matches mixing light and strong attacks together, grabbing and throwing opponents, picking up weapons and guarding into dodge rolls. And for a little difference to Smash Bros, you have to land successful hits to build up a Smash meter, which, when full, gives you a limited time to activate a unique Smash attack for each character. For each person you hit, you get a point, and if you get hit by someone else's Smash attack, you lose a point. Yes, believe it or not, this is actually a mechanic that PS All-Stars tried to do, but if you ask me, it did it worse. Instead of collecting Smash attack orbs from beat up players and then losing your own orbs if you get beat up yourself, meaning that you could go back and forth for hours before anybody gets a single point, this game just lets you focus on landing hits and avoiding hits in a fast-paced race to see how many times you can build up your Smash meter and get a point by hitting the opponent. It's very simple, to the point, easy to pick up. The chaos that unfolds whenever you smash other players can be extremely enjoyable. There's tons of different challenges to complete to unlock new characters for the multiplayer, including Humpty Dumpty with the greatest idle animation of all time. And since there's no singular plot to go through with one narrative, the story mode has some genuinely entertaining scenarios for all the fights, just because they make them up as they go along. I played this game for hours when I was 11 on the PS2, and I can totally understand why. It's a decent game. But yeah, the story mode, unless you want to play something so easy that it makes you feel like a fetus, I wouldn't bother. Oh yeah, you were all waiting anxiously for this one, weren't you? The one Kinect game I don't think I've heard a single positive thing about. What a nice intro this is. Truly, I'm grateful, because if you leave the screen or sit down for any reason, this little Johnny up here disappears and the whole game pauses. And no matter how much I tried, this cutscene is unskippable. So for the first minute and a half of the game, you are stuck just standing there waiting for a video to end. I was able to get by every single one of the tutorial missions with absolutely no problem though. First time attempt on all fronts actually. But you know you're in for a good time when the little man telling you that you're perfectly visible from the Kinect turns from chirpy white to sad flat red after the intro ends. It didn't matter what I did, what lighting conditions I used, what distance I was from the sensor, what space I left myself, even resetting the game and trying again. And you know what? Maybe that is what caused this game to be virtually unplayable. Maybe it was my end that was the problem. Except it most certainly wasn't, because I recalibrated the damn thing 3 times and it knew exactly where I was every single time. And more importantly, the menus worked absolutely flawlessly for me. Look, I've got no issue at all with any of this stuff. It knew what direction my feet were standing, it knew every time I did a jump, and I could even clean steam off of the screen with my hands perfectly. But leaning my body slightly backwards to turn a corner? Oh, no way, hose. That's far too much for this little puppy to handle. We can't turn any corners here. What do you think this is, a racing game? The best position I could come after 3 races was 5th. Sonic Freeriders doesn't work. How many more ways can I say that? It murders your back with all the leaning. It hurts your legs with how high you have to jump for it to register. It hurts your arms with all the flailing you've got to do. Sonic Freeriders is simply a grim experience from the second it starts, when the theme song screams its lungs out at you, until you start a race and you slip a disc. Not even the menu's audio tracking works. Just watch this. I'm saying the word next, and the Kinect knows I'm saying the word next because it's lighting up right there. And in fact, here is me using the microphone feature on Disneyland just so you can see that it does indeed work.
Okay, here we go. Park map. Tomorrowland.
But on Sonic Freeriders, like some stubborn toddler, it hears me, but just refuses to do anything else.
Skateboard Madness on the PS2.
Truly, this is a game for only the most mentally deranged of skateboarders. I mean, look at the madness going on here. Who is this man, and why is he tickling underneath his skateboard? And if there are any astute viewers of mine that have been around for many years, I'm sure that there's a logo on the box here that you recognize. If you see this logo on any PS2 game, you run for the hills. You know how the angry video game nerd has his arch nemesis in LJN when it comes to atrocious game companies? Well, Phoenix Games are my personal LJN, and they have released some stonkers in the past, let me tell you. From Son of the Lion King to Dalmatians 3, all the way to Snow White and the 7 Clever Boys. They also made a game that didn't upset any minorities at all, and it was called Packing. And then they made Skateboard Madness, so let's check out what I'm getting myself into. My name is Let Me Out, and my character has no name. That's a bit ominous, so I guess I'll just have to make them up myself. Should I be Jonathan, 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 or Black Jonathan? I'm not even being insensitive when I say that. They all have exactly the same facial and body model. And you know what? I think I'll pick Jonathan. Let's kick things off nice and easily with a simple ollie. This bodes well. I just played a game with a jetpack mode, and even then, that game has more physics than this. What happens if you run into a rail? What happens if you jump on a rail? What happens if you jump up and try to do a 180 spin? What happens if you try to jump up a flight of stairs? What happens if you run dead straight into a wall? What happens if you go up a ramp? I mean, I suppose this does have its benefits sometimes, like when there's a big concrete bridge in your way. Don't worry, because Jonathan can go straight through it. The issue is, though, he can't do anything else. I have tried desperately to find more tricks than a heel flip and a kick flip, but I cannot for the life of me find any. On the other hand, though, I guess that doesn't even matter, because in a timed score counting match, landing kick flips doesn't even count towards giving you any points. Oh, well, sometimes it does. Oh, and sometimes the game will say that you did 3 kick flips, one after the other, when you weren't even doing anything. At least you weren't lying about this being mad. I will personally ship myself over to your house and give you a kiss if you can perform any tricks here and understand why they worked or how to do them again. Whenever I tap the grab button, I hold onto my board. Whenever I hold the grab button, I merely tap my board. Occasionally, when I take a jump off of a quarter pipe, I won't stop spinning around in midair even though I'm not touching any directional buttons. And the amount of times that I go up a ramp only to just smack down off my board for no reason is almost comical. Then you remember you paid money for this, and it's not funny anymore. I even tested the physics engine out by simply jumping off of a ramp, not touching anything, and coming back down. This isn't a joke. Look! Come on, Jonathan! How useless could you possibly be? Don't make me get another Jonathan out! The only good thing I can point out with this game is the fact that whenever you bail, Jonathan doesn't ragdoll or anything. He just turns stone dead and gives up, wondering how he got into this mess.
Lego Stunt Rally on the Game Boy Color. Now, I've never played a Lego game on Game Boy before, and it's safe to say that I'm bricking it.
Hello, and welcome to Stunt Rally. I'm Mr. X, the world champion and owner Oh, screw this. Let's just jump right into a Grand Prix race and see what this is all about then. I mean, there was a LEGO Racers port on Game Boy Color, and it wasn't awful for a Game Boy racing game. Oh, that's odd. The arrow buttons don't work, but I'm, like, still making all of the turns? It's automatic. The track races itself. Well, then what's the point of it being a competitive racing game? Have you ever played Scalextric before? Or slot cars, as some people call it? You know, you hold a single button down to control the speed and just hope your car doesn't fall off the track and crash horribly. Well, now you get to do that on a flat, low-resolution, low-quality, limited color, and no physical feedback Game Boy Color screen. You go over ramps to do the stunts that the game is named after, but you can't choose the stunts that you do, and it doesn't matter what car you pick. This is hold one button down and hope you don't die the video game. Okay, to be fair, the B button does make you change lanes, but that happens so infrequently there's barely any point talking about it. Oh, and the arrow buttons, and I mean all of the arrow buttons, make your horn go off. Sure, you can build your own tracks, but with heart-stopping single-button gameplay in 2 different locations like this, why bother?
I think this is the only racing game I've ever played that needs no hands. Oh no.
And even though the gameplay amounts to just holding the A button down, it still somehow manages to not work properly. There are so many corners where it's impossible to slow down in time because of a ramp you need to speed over, corners that allow you to go fast across, no problem, and other corners that don't allow you to go fast across. This is sickening. What else can I say? Everything you see here, this is the whole game, and it's one of the worst I've ever played. I've arranged seating plans for dinner parties more fun than this. And aside from designing your own tracks, that's the only LEGO-themed aspect of this LEGO game. You don't build racers, cars, the areas don't look like Lego, there's nothing Lego in this game.
Why don't we take a look at a game that was enhanced by the iToy?
Oh yes, much like with Kinect, iToy wasn't afraid to shove itself into gaps it couldn't fit in because it was compatible with a fair amount of random PS2 titles that usually meant it was only used for motion-controlled mini-games in a side menu, like with Harry Popoff and the Prisoner of Cockoff, and I would love to give that one a go, but to be completely honest, this video is long enough as it is, and after the last time a Harry Potter game told me to use a camera, I should never be allowed to do that again. Sometimes the camera was compatible even just for microphone use, but occasionally, only occasionally, it was used for something truly special, like, for instance, with This Is Football.
Oh, it isn't.
Why I chose to show off a lame, smelly football, though, instead of something more whimsical like Harry Potter, is because in the 2005 edition of TIFF specifically, the iToy allows you to add your face, and literally any other face, which then can be used to make your own custom players within the game. The results were not as bad as I was expecting. This is impressive. Dude, you are looking fine. And I tried, oh god, I tried, to make my own custom team featuring me, my childhood self, my dog, Michael Jackson, Gandhi, Mr. Beast, a bad police sketch, Jack 2, Geddy Lee, Prince Philip, and Mater, but after 45 minutes of trying, I'm sorry, I just could not make it recognize them. Look, I even managed to get away with this as a legitimate face with working eyes and a mouth, with the results looking like... And yet, despite that, no matter what I did, it did not recognize Michael Jackson as a real face, which is fair, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I guess we'll just have to stick with these two. They are Kadink and Kadonk, and they are too good for the England team, so I'm just going to rename the England team to how it's supposed to be spelled. England, innit? Good afternoon, all, and here we go. What a day to have a football match. The sun is out, the pitch is green, and it's the highly anticipated quarter-final game of the season. Wales versus England, innit? Our home team boys are revved up and raring to go after their recent successful string of games ever since the manager was recently fired and replaced with an owl. But he has made the very controversial decision to hire 2 up-and-coming unknowns, Kadink in centre midfield and Kadonk in goal. Kadink's technique is unlike any other footballer I've seen before, choosing to run after the ball, ignoring all sense, and then keeping it all to himself for as long as he can, just so he can score a goal all on his own and show his mum. Maybe one day she will finally let him make his own lunch. He's going for the goal, he's getting close, get it in, get it in, get it in. Oh, he muffed it! What kind of kick was that? He didn't even try. Now possession has moved over to Wales as they take a pass over to our shot, and what a save by Kadonk in goal. A very close shave indeed, and he let it in anyway. What a massive prick. No matter though, nothing phases the young upstart Kadonk, as right after missing his goal, he got straight back up and walked around in a little circle like a sim looking for the toilet. Back on the pitch, the ball is staying in possession with Wales for a long time, and that's clearly upset the other teammates of England in it, because disaster on the grass. It's a degraster. The referee has whacked out his red card for an illegal tackle from Michael Owen, who just didn't like that Wales had the ball at all and decided to do a leaping judo kick into another player that didn't even have the ball. This will certainly go to a free kick, but the punishment for Owen will not be too harsh because the guy he kicked was indeed Welsh. A successful free kick from Wales, but unbeknownst to everyone, Cadink was waiting uncomfortably close to the man the ball was aimed at, and with a flick of the wrist, the Welsh player is bowled over. And wait, could it be? Yes, it's a strike for the Welsh team, and possession is back with Cadink, who will continue to hog the ball until his next goal kick attempt, which wasn't even close. England in it are trailing behind on 1-0, so they need to step up. Their next strategy seems to be passing the ball back towards their end of the pitch, but it appears the losing team's patience is up because Cadonk has left the goal in an unprecedented move, likely inspired by his fellow player Cadink. Cadonk has decided the ball is now his and is refusing to pass it. He's going for a kick. He thinks he can land it in the net from here, but of course he can't. Why would he think he could? And he'll have to sprint as fast as he can back to the goal. Cadink has the ball yet again, and all anyone can wonder is how nobody else is getting the ball before he is. And as is tradition with all his other games prior to this one, he keeps hold of the ball until the half-time whistle, at which point he gives up and heads for Tesco's. With Cadink absent from the first few minutes of the second half, England in it seem to be getting their shit together and actually playing the game properly until Wayne Rooney foolishly passes the ball back to who he thought was Beckham, but instead was Cadink, the dickless wonder. He had to leave his Tesco shop behind because he couldn't afford it without his club card, which he left in his other shorts. A dark day in the footballing world when a Premier League player can't afford a meal deal. Wales seem to be stepping up their game too, and within 2 minutes they have already tried for 3 goal shots, 2 of which were not intercepted by Cadonk. He didn't save them, he just tried to jump towards them, and the third shot not even being good enough for him, as he doesn't even try to stop the ball and takes a step back with his hands in the air like he just don't care. Cadonk famously does not like conflict, and the last thing a team losing 2-0 needs is a ball that is angry with the goalkeeper. Cadink once again back with the ball and appearing to perform the river dance with it, causing every player around him to just stop going near him. They can all respect the performing arts when circumstances permit. Sadly, that is it. The game is over. But in an unorthodox twist, the ref has decided that a red card means play another game right after the first. How extraordinary. And Cadonk can barely believe it. He has turned purple. He's not breathing. So the next game will have to be at least half the length. Straight away within the first 5 minutes of play, Wales have once again proven that they can kick the ball and are ahead by 1 point, which has majorly upset the manager of England in it. Owl. Between games, the England in-it team seem to have muddled together a new strategy to try out now that it's nearly half-time and they have nothing to lose. They will actually play football properly for ages and ages until everyone is exhausted from running around, and then by that time Cadink can take the ball and basically walk it into the net. It's a risky move, but it's worth a shot. Is he gonna do it? Could it be now? Are the odds in favour for the underdog? He's going for it. He shoots, and it's in! He finally did it after 2.5 hours of football. That was a ball that went into, yes, you guessed it, a net. Look at the elation on his face. He is about to take off to Spain, and oh, he's working the crowd and giving them the dink. He knows they all want it, and he has 18 dinks. A promising career is ahead for Cadink based on that performance just then and nothing else he's ever done. If England in it can keep up, then maybe they'll finally be able to afford some more wig glue for Cadonk that doesn't peel off his head.
So ultimately, even though I did miss out on seeing His Royal Highness kicking it around one last time on the PS2 with his incompatible zombie face, this is one of the best ideas ever, and you all need to get a PS2 and iToy camera and This Is Football 2005 and do it.
Hi everyone, it's me, Caddicarus, and I'm the angriest gamer on YouTube. Ooh!
Airblade may just be the game for you. A forgotten little ditty on the PS2 released in 2001 and made by the same people who did the Burnout game. So as you can see, they're very good at making games with wheels. Which is why in Airblade, you're playing a game that has no wheels. The simplest way I can describe Airblade is to take the time limit mission objective open-ended style of the Tony Hawk series and swap a plank of wood for a hoverboard. Yes, a hoverboard. And as ridiculous as Tony Hawk on a hoverboard sounds, for the most part, I feel like Airblade completely nails what it sets out to do. In fact, dare I say it's a a hidden game. Look, it even has a story mode with cutscenes. This is our main character, Ethan. He sounds like this.
Oscar hijacked the stick? No wonder the suits are so bum.
And because of that, I hate him. He also dresses like a traffic light. So the plot here is that Ethan's house is being raided by the government because of a strange package that his roommate? Grandpa? friend with benefits received. Nobody knows what it is or why it's so important, but that obviously means we need to take it immediately without thinking about it and go on the run to become a fugitive.
That was great.
As it turns out, this secret package was actually a hoverboard, which Ethan magically knows how to use straight away, and then holy shit, you're able to do basically anything on it within 15 seconds of picking it up. Ethan is my kind of guy. My first time on a hoverboard was nothing like this. Like I said earlier, Airblade is basically Tony Hawk in terms of its arcadey mission-based structure and time limit, except here, it's way more linear. You get story-based missions that need to be completed one after the other, and completing each one increases your total time limit. To do these missions, it usually means initiating a sequence of tricks around the environment and pedestrians, or sometimes exploring the open-ended levels from top to bottom to find the correct thing to grab or grind across to reach higher places. The story mode itself is laughably tiny, and the cutscenes are admittedly awful, but I'll be damned, this is one of the smoothest running and satisfying skating games I've ever played. It takes a while to get the hang of it, but once you do, it feels as natural as breathing, and you're able to do some crazy flippy floppy Kingdom Hearts shit unheard of in other skating games. Up here on the screen is your boost meter, which I suppose you could also say is your fuel. It doesn't stop you from moving if it runs out, don't worry, but this boost meter is needed to not only speed up around the level and give yourself more air up ramps, but is also used up by pressing and holding the jump button to give you a small hover and glide depending on how much boost you have. These two abilities, especially for the timed missions, are vital, so how do you get more boosts? Well, you do more tricks, of course, and where linking them together during one large mid-air combo spinning around poles and landing on rails is preferable, emergency boost fuel can be given to you by simply hitting the flip trick button, because I don't know if you noticed, but you float, meaning that you can do unlimited flip tricks without bailing, which is also used for attacking enemies. Airblade is far from amazing, but colour me impressed because this is the most original arcade skating game I've ever played. It controls fantastically, looks great for a 2001 PS2 game, runs as smooth as butter, and yeah, the music isn't amazing either. I mean, one track sounds like someone left the kettle on, but I would say this is certainly a diamond in the rough.
You know what? Maybe I'm just not fit enough. Which is a good thing. Because I've got Get Fit with Mel B.
Yeah! Jump up, boys and girls! It's time to get fit with Mel B! For those of you who don't know who she is, Mel B used to be a singer with the Spice Girls, but now she's in a Kinect game where she shouts at you for being fat. You know what, though? Why not? Kinect Sports in particular made me realise that I'm not exactly in the best shape to be dealing with something like the Kinect, so it's a good thing that I've got Get Fit with Mel B to help me out. And I do feel good about this because whoever had the game before me burned a little bit of fat on the side of the case. There we go. Hello everybody. My name is Caddicarus. I'm male. I was born on the 19th of June 1994. I'm 5'10" and I live on a luxury yacht. However, little did I know that when I put in the disc of Get Fit with Melb, that I would be greeted with one of the most uncanny and disturbing games I've played in recent memory. The workout began, Melon looked me dead in the eye, she said,
"Put your right hand up now to start."
And then the floodgates were opened. This is what happened when I played Get Fit with Mel B.
No! Oh my god, she's cut my feet off! Mel, what have you done to me?
Having problems?
I'm having major problems, Mel, because you've served me up on a chopping board. Am I going to be put into a steak?
You know what? I honestly don't know why Mel B was needed for any of this. It didn't feel like her game at all. It could have been anybody standing there.
Mel, you never told me your luxury yacht had a hidden compartment.
The Michael Jackson game, though? That would be his game. You can't replace MJ in that.
Don't think I need to explain this, but Get Fit with Mel B isn't very good. A Town and Country Surf Designs, Pearl City, Hawaii, Wood and Water Rage.
This here is the first NES game I've ever gone out of my way to actually talk about in depth on this channel. And judging by the cover art, I don't think I could have picked a better one.
But I don't know. Despite Town and Country Surf Designs, Pearl City, Hawaii, Wood and Water Rage being the most ridiculous name for a game I've ever seen, this could be another Airblade. It could be another hidden gem, a secret masterpiece, a Nintendo classic.
Just my luck, eh? The first NES game I ever take a look at for this channel, and it's a game made by one of the most infamously bad companies of all time. Boot up to the title screen, and it's confusing. What is this supposed to be? What's going into it? Is it water? Why is it flying? Why are there trees swimming? What's going on over here? And what's this noise supposed to be? We've got 3 separate games to pick here, but this is a skateboarding video, so let's just take a look at that one for now. Well, okay, this doesn't seem too bad so far. It looks okay, sounds okay, controls okay. Was this peeved nerd a little too harsh on LJN in all of his videos? We can move, we can jump off the board to get past this thing here, we can not jump off of the ramp, no biggie, we can keep going, and we can even ollie over this clump of barrels a few seconds into the stage to...
Oh. Maybe I pushed the wrong button. Okay, let's try B.
And we can even ollie over this clump of barrels a few seconds in. Okay, I get it now. This LJN hate, totally justified. The weird thing though is that if you look online to see what the hell you're supposed to even do, you can see that... What is this? It's a video! I mean, it's somebody doing an ollie! They can jump over the barrels without grinding their face into the concrete. But how do you even do that? You know what, I'm just gonna mash buttons and see what happens. Oh! What was that? I did a grind! I grinded. Grinded? Ground? Greened? Either way, I figured it out. You have to hold back while pressing A to do an ollie, allowing you to leap over ramps and, of course, those infamous barrels I love so much. So, that's it, right? I've got the controls down, so the rest of the game must be a breeze. So get a load of this shit. What you have here is an auto-scrolling obstacle course, which would be fine to deal with, except you have a very tight time limit to reach the end of a stage. Look at this, you can't see anything that's flying at you off screen. You can't judge depth and distance when going quickly on this 2D plane. You get respawned on slowing down surfaces right next to ramps, meaning that you then can't speed up enough to clear holes in the floor. This game was clearly made by a load of lumpy, jiggly nutcases. If you slow down too much to stay careful, you run out of time, but if you go too fast, it's unplayable.
What's that? You want me to try another game from the main menu? Well then I will.
Let's see what this surfing game is about then. It's awful. Okay then, how about game number 3, Wood and Water Rage? This is what the game itself is named after, so maybe this is the best bit. Oh look, it's exactly the same game as the skateboarding one.
Wood and Water Rage sounds like something you catch when you're pregnant. Okay, I'm done with all of these skateboarding games that aren't endorsed by Tony Hawk, so I think I'm gonna have to crawl back to him with my tail between my legs. If there's any patterns emerging here, it's that if you want a consistently decent skateboarding game, you go to Tony Hawk. So I suppose it's time to check up on him with Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam.
And no, this isn't a terrible recipe for a sandwich. It's a Tony Hawk game made as a Wii launch title. Saying that though, Tony is looking really angry on the box here, almost like he's hungry for some jam of his own. Weirdly enough, of all people, this game was developed by Toys for Bob. Yes, the Spyro Reignited Toys for Bob, the Crash 4 Toys for Bob, the Madagascar Toys for Bob. My name is Fneep. And since this is a Wii launch title, do you know what that means? Yes, forced motion controls, meaning that you tilt the remote to move left and right. And as we all know, this won't be a problem at all because Sonic did that so perfectly.
So what's my verdict on Tony Hawk and the secret rings? It's unnecessary, but it's alright.
I say it's unnecessary because at the end of the day, tilting a motion controller to steer is less responsive than simply pressing a button. But if you just have to do it this way, like if your wife was tied up in the kitchen of a cannibal and the only thing that could save her was tilting motion-controlled skateboarding, it could have been done a lot worse. Firstly, this is primarily a racing game, thank God, so free movement isn't an issue since you're on rails and only need to concentrate on steering, so it's pretty focused at least. But trying to take this and move it to forced motion controls and only 2 extra action buttons is really clumsy. Speeding up, ollieing, and grabs are the same button, while flip tricks and grinds are the same button, and balancing on a grind is done with tilting, which is exactly what you do for turning your body in mid-air and turning left and right in general, meaning that you'll do a lot of accidental spins and tricks when you're trying to exit a rail that you're already balancing on, just like right there. And you could just ignore doing tricks and focus on the race downhill, but in order to get turbo, which is damn near essential for winning a race, you need to at least try doing a few of these tricks, meaning that I did a lot of whinging. Game looks fine for a Wii launch title, I suppose, except for Tony himself. But yeah, I can't really say much else about this one, because it's just okay. It would have been more fun if it was a train wreck, to be honest. SpongeBob SquarePants Surf and Skate Road Trip is a game that... You know what? No, I'm not doing this. I'm not even going to give this game the privilege of an introduction. Here is all the footage of me playing it. It speaks for itself.
Just so we're all on the same page and we're understanding each other, this is the main menu. I wave to let them know that I'm here. That works. Welcome to the game. I've not been identified. Okay, that's fine. How about I just select a No, select a profile. No, select a profile. No, select a No, select a profile. Don't cancel, select a No! What are you doing? Why are you following my face like to the side? Why is there a big gap there? What do you mean stand back? What are you talking about? What, stand back here? Where do you want me to go? Every time I go towards story mode, it doesn't want to stay there, so I'm just gonna do quick play. Can this message go? To turn left, step your foot to the side. To turn left, step your foot to the side. To turn left, step your foot to the side. To turn right, step your foot to the side. Step your foot to the side. We're this close to passing the calibration screen, everybody. I hate to see what the game is like if I cannot pass the settings. Copy this stunt pose. So we can handle basics. We can handle basic standing still and lifting arms up to do the beginning of the YMCA, but we can't do anything else. So why is there a whole game built around everything else that isn't standing still and YMCA-ing? Ow. Okay.
Look at me! I'm fast!
Why are you turning left? I'm stepping to the right! I don't understand how this game works. Why is this a game? This doesn't work. It thinks I'm turning right when I'm stepping left, and when I step right, it turns left. Look. Oh, look. There's me. Hi. Am I enjoying myself? How am I getting all these points? I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to steer. I'm just trying to steer. How is this... SpongeBob Sky Pants? Turn right. Patrick, turn right, please. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing a 1 minute long race.
And yes, I know, you're all probably thinking, this is a surfing game, so what's the point of even mentioning it in this video? But the thing is, it isn't. Look, I can confirm from the back of the box that there is indeed skateboarding in this game, which is a shame because I'm never going to see it.
Hey, does anybody remember Turbo? The DreamWorks animated classic? Turbo? Well, they made a game about it. I don't know how to transition to it.
Ah, look, it's Turbo. The snail.
Turbo! Super Stunt Squad, baby!
I need a parent.
I honestly don't care what any of this stuff does. It makes sense that this is a racing game, so let's just go straight into a tournament. Right, so who do I pick here? Burn, Turbo, Whiplash, or Smooth Move? Now for a more important question. Do I want bad stats, or bad stats with one stat that isn't as bad as the other stats? Yeah, I think I'll go with that one. I'm on the start line, I'm ready to go, and... oh my god. I've played some bad kart racing games in my time, but I honestly think this one may be the worst I've ever touched. Do I even need to explain why? One of the most important things you need to nail in any kart racer before anything is how it feels to drive. You can't be too realistic like it's a driving simulator, but not so wacky that it's uncontrollable. You hold accelerate to go forward at one speed, and then turn to the direction you want in order to change where your forward is going towards. That is really it. It is so rigid. There's no slipping or sliding, no weight. The back of the box doesn't lie either. Instead of selling the game to you, it just tells you two things that the game has. You can race, and you can pick a character. Yep, that is all you can do. To be fair, yeah, that is the only two things the game has going for it, but if the back of the box doesn't give a shit, then why should I? Oh, by the way, favorite characters? Oh yes, from the animated classic that everyone remembers so fondly, my favorite characters were Roly Poly and Eyes on a Dick. Supermarket trolleys move with more grace than these things, and I'm not even sure if I'm doing something wrong or if the game is just awful.
Hey, you know what I want to know? If playing is so great, then where's Play 2? Here it is. Now I know what you're thinking. Cads, matey boy, isn't iToy Play 2 just two iToy Play 1s? No. Moron. It's two iToy Play 2s. I guess the original Pack-In Tech demo was popular enough where it earned itself a sequel, and in fairness, this was the iToy game that 10-year-old Caddy put the most hours into, so let's see if there's anything to be saved from a man that really wants that baseball.
Oh, we actually get to play pool. I've just started and I lost. Yeah. What happens if I dab it?
Oh, you get one in.
Yeah, boy! It works. It works.
Look, I know I'm saying this a lot, trust me, I know, but when your most recent experience of this kind of technology is the penguins of Madagascar, you find yourself saying that a lot when it does end up working. I'm more floored by just how accurately it reads your body movements, even to the top of your fingertips, which is so pixelated and indistinguishable on the camera that they might as well be a wet towel, but god damn, look at this little bugger. It's good, it works, and all it took to get here was a little bit of ethnic stereotyping.
Oh boy. How's he gonna sound? Let's find out.
Saying that though, I don't remember the last time I heard a Northern English accent this thick in a video game before. It's great.
Now try to save at least 3 out of 5 shots.
I'm not sure though. That guy looks a little sauce to me. Yeah, sauce. No, not sus, sauce. He's sausagey. And then I got myself Skate or Die on the NES. Skate or Die? Die.
I mean, I've got to be honest, I'm actually liking this title screen. The logo is vibrant and animated, this dude has a fat ass, and this music is happening. I cannot wait to play any longer. Let's jump right in. Mummy, I don't want to play anymore. At this point, I think it would be stupid to go straight into a competition, so let's do some practice first. How about a freestyle match? Which is more accurately a vert ramp match, but whatever. Let's drop in and start things off easy with a 180 spin.
Are all skateboarding games on the NES deliberately unplayable?
Whatever you do, whatever button you press, you will crash. The only way I racked up points here was just with rolling back and forth, because if I tried anything else, my bones would fall right off of my body, and no matter how long you lie there on the ground motionless, the audience never come to help you. Did he skate or did he die? Yeah, he died. What about high jump then? Okay, it's the same as freestyle, but all you need to do now is mash buttons as fast as possible to pick up speed, fly high, have a fit, and then get given the finger. Wonderful. Jam. Oh, what's this one then? So here, you're skating towards the bottom of the screen, beating up other kids with your fists, and disintegrating whenever you touch a fence. And this would be the best bit of the game, but the biggest issue here is the control. In order to attack, you need to hold a direction while pressing a button, but using a directional button also turns you, which you don't want to do. And you'd think that you just need to hold left or right to turn, but no, you have to tap the direction multiple times to adjust where you are pointing, just like in real skating. The race itself isn't much better either. You're going downhill and your turning is way too heavy. Now we're on to the final game, jousting. Yeah, 3 kids fighting to the death seems fine to me, but who do I pick to send to hell? Well, I'm pretty sure I saw Lester in A Nightmare where he strangled my family, so I think I'll go with the most normal looking guy. Possier Pete. This is probably the worst game of the lot. You achingly skate back and forth trying to knock the other kid off of his board with a giant cotton bud, and then make him bend over, stick his wiener in his mouth, and then shove the board right up his butt. Problem here is that no matter what I do, I can't only never hit the other guy even when I'm right next to him, but he always manages to steal the bat from me and knock me down right back on my thick old legs whenever he wants to do that. This here is known as Fighters Uncaged, another game made under the Granny 3D engine. Get ready for the fight of your life, starring Miguel S. Oh, okay, no, never mind. Robert I. Oh, okay, no worries, didn't need to know his. Baker T. Pist. Okay, oh no, I nearly got your name there. Dimitri. Oh my god, that was on screen for less than a second. Jay, what?
This game can't even get the opening credits right. I'm very excited.
And you know what? To give Fighters Uncaged a little bit of praise here, I was going to contest the reviews of it at the time, like 32%, because this tutorial sequence here worked surprisingly well for me. It was able to read my types of punches decently, it got the correct kicking motions, it knew when I was dodging. I was a little perplexed at the scathing criticism at first, but then I got out of the training, looked my best friend in the eye, whose name is Spar, and all of a sudden, it all made sense. This is bad. Absolutely everything wrong with a shovelware Kinect cash grab is here and accounted for. It was an officially developed launch title for the Kinect and given just as much marketing as Kinect Sports and Adventures. Xbox were proud of this. They were proud of this gangly brown splat. The reason the tutorial worked so well is because they were asking me to do specific moves repeatedly in a slow and spaced out fashion. But the second they expect you to perform these moves quickly on a second's notice and want you to change moves up constantly for combos and getting around blocks from the opponent, the Kinect just doesn't know what you're doing at any given time. By the time it reads you performing a punch, it's already started reading a second punch that hasn't even happened yet, and they expect you to react to your opponent when they move as fast as this. So they want you to move fast, but if you move too fast, the game does a big smelly, and they want you to quickly move back from the enemy whenever they strike. But even if you move on time, it's still too slow for the Kinect to even realize you moved back quickly. Fighters Uncaged is a disgrace. It looks blurrier than a painting someone just sweated on, the controls don't work, you look like an arsehole when you play it, and even the voice acting sucks.
The last time I played Lego Racers 2 was about 15 years ago. Sure, I remember loving this game as a kid, I put hours into it. But this advanced PS2 sequel, I haven't touched since then, and I've replayed the original Lego Racers loads of times. That's not a good sign, is it?
Ever since I made my Lego Racers 1 video back in 2012, I had so many of my viewers from back then desperately ask me to play Lego Racers 2, and so I'm honouring that request right now. 8 years later. So if you were 90 years old and were asking me to cover this game back then, I'm sorry that I'm talking about it now that you're dead. The game opens up with a cinematic showing us Rocket Racer, the big main final boss of the first game, trying to deal with his humiliating defeat against us at the end of that game. He hears about a galaxy-wide championship, jumps back in his car, goes through a portal, and picks up a load of these weird tiny little Lego Racers characters which I remember having a few of when I was a kid. And after all of that, that somehow means he's the best racer of all time again, and we need to beat him again. Okay, what is my name this time? Hello, I'm Carp. It's time for us to build a character again, and unfortunately, we have a lot less pieces to choose from compared to the first game, but that doesn't mean I still can't pick the worst choices from every category, and I hereby dub this creation Pneumonia Naked. Time for us to build a car, and luckily, I've learnt more than enough from my car building in LEGO Racers 1. The beginning of the gameplay itself starts off pretty quaint as you're plonked onto a little island and are challenged with racing all of the local workforce, wasting all of the taxpayers' money with racing tournaments and spending the rest on diggers that can drive at 90 miles an hour. Also, yeah, sorry about these weird black lines on the screen during the cutscenes here, but this is because I'm fast forwarding them manually during the gameplay since you can't skip them, even though I really wish you could, because boy do they drag on and on, even when you speed them up. Target 1, the construction worker, and this is a pretty easy race, but then again, if you're in a racing game and lose to a digger, you shouldn't be playing it. Target 2, the postman, who boasts that he knows the island inside out better than anybody, but that doesn't matter because we have to go through specified checkpoints that we are given arrows that point towards them, so all of that knowledge means nothing. Target 3, the fireman, who... Target 4, the policeman. And to be honest, Mr. Copper, if you can't keep up with somebody that's driving a car with no way to look out the front of it, you shouldn't be a policeman. After you've done all of these races, you're then whisked off to the first world of the game, where you then get your standard 6-player races until you reach a boss racer at the end, similar to how LEGO Racers 1 handled it, but with just every race being individual instead of one after the other in a single Grand Prix. This isn't all you get to do though. You see, LEGO Racers 2 pushes the PS2 hardware to overdrive, since there are no race selection menus to navigate. All the race choosing and world traveling is done within an open world, much like in Lego Island. Within these worlds aren't just the races, but also secret golden bricks to find that unlock more worlds later on, hidden mission, tornadoes that give you a minigame to complete for an upgrade to your car's speed, grip, or shields, and many other secrets and surprises. But the cost of this is the fact that the game itself couldn't seem to fit any other original racetracks onto the disc alongside these worlds, and so everything you do in each world takes place in exactly the same location. And that's not all. Every single hub world uses the same song, every single minigame uses the same song, and every single race only uses one song per world. Not to mention they're all taking place on the same island and all feel exactly the same to race on. The only major thing that changes in the races is the weather. From world to world, it's all the same story. You explore and race around exactly the same locations, along the same routes, with repeated music over and over again, meaning that despite the game featuring 5 worlds with 4 to 5 races each in them, in actuality it feels more like 5 races in total in the entire game, because each race in every world feels exactly the same.
Unless, of course, you count the final race against Rocket Racer, but that track is just one big circle, so it's a big load of piss.
This issue is then compounded with the removal of the unique, clever, and very LEGO-oriented brick stacking power-up system from LEGO Racers 1, instead opting for just a small handful of power-ups that barely have any impact, aren't very imaginative, and have no strategic angle to grabbing and using them.
So, in essence, LEGO Racers 2 is weaker than the first game in practically every way except visually. And even then, for a PS2 game, it still doesn't have 4-player co-op. There's no defense for that, because the first one should have had it in the first place. What is this game's problem?
Actually, I say the game looks better, but that's a lie most of the time too, because when there's more than 2 cars on the same screen, the game itself sucks its own farts and leaves the building. Something that is maybe even more terrible than the performance of the game, though, is the performance of your wheels. The grip your car has against any terrain, whether it's dry as a bone or wet as a tongue, is absolutely horrendous. What is this game? LEGO Racers 2? Much grease. And with how brutal the other races are on the tracks, any single mistake on a race often means you've lost immediately and just need to restart. That being said, I do like a few things in this sequel. Firstly, in keeping true to its LEGO roots, whenever you get hit by a weapon or drive too fast into a corner, you lose a few specific bricks from your car that you built. And whenever you drive through a rebuild gateway, all of your car-specific bricks that you lost are magically clicked back onto your car, meaning that for any car you make, you get unique rebuilding animations and unique destruction animations during the race that leaves your own car in different stages of destruction based on the bricks that you used yourself. I know I'm over-explaining it, but there's not much else going on in this game, so I'm trying to make it sound exciting.
Oh, you can also give yourself a tiny little boost if you accidentally knock your own bricks off. This It's not very impressive.
Oh, and if you end up damaging yourself too much, your entire car can be destroyed until you find the next rebuilding gate, meaning that you then have to race while running around as a little minifigure. You can't use any power-ups and you're really slow, so this isn't a good thing, but how cool is this for a game about breakable Lego cars racing each other? In conclusion though, this game is a pretty piss-poor sequel in my opinion. It's got some great ideas and good scope, but it's way too samey, way too monotonous, and look at this, kids aren't going to be able to stomach this. They're going to want to put the game away and go straight back to their Lego Elsas and Lego Bananas. I mean, even the building kind of sucks. Look at it, instead of being based on what bricks you can fit on what part of the car, here, it doesn't matter because you're stuck with a limited number of bricks to use at all times. It's probably because of the destruction system, but what kind of bric-a-brac is that? Everybody knows that the more bricks you can mount together, the better it feels. BMXXX, which, if you search for footage on YouTube for, means you'll end up typing BMXXXX Xbox. And this is why spacebars are very important, otherwise you'll end up going for a drink at the Threelms. And this game is particularly special because it's the first one we've seen so far with a special parental advisory sticker on the case, specifically because of its inclusion of extremely vulgar dialogue, actual footage of real-life nudity, and totally topless bikers that you can play as. BMXXXX takes the sport back to where it all began, on the street, in the street, and all over the street. It's harder, it's faster, and it's got XXX rated gameplay written all over it, with hookers, pimps, wackos, and dogs on heat. If you want hardcore, look no further.
Yeah, do you want dogs on heat? Then play the booby biker game.
Creator Rider. BMX's state-of-the-art Creator Rider empowers you to build virtually any type of male and female from head to toe.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key word we're looking at here. Empowers. This is such an empowering video game. I mean, take a look at this bonus FMV clip of a random broad in a strip club, and you tell me that's not empowering.
Speaking of, it's time for us to create our rider, and our default... Our default character is a man with a thumb for a head. I know you can't really improve on perfection, but I've got to at least try. I've got to go the full hog here, so here we go. Overweight man with a six-pack and lingerie.
But that's not what you're here to see, is it? No. You're here to see 2002 original Xbox Breeds, aren't you? Okay, fair enough. So let's go back to Creator Rider, find a female rider, and see what we can do.
There's no topless option? What? But I wanted to see a pair of 12-polygon breeds! One of the main controversial selling points of this game nearly 20 years ago was that it had bare honkers in it, and you can't even let me have that right out of the gate?
Well, fine. I didn't want to do this exactly, but if you're not going to let me do that, then you've given me absolutely no choice but to pick the stupidest option from every single category of the creation menu.
Everyone, meet Windy, the queen of messing herself and sitting in it.
Now... it's time to ride the bike.
Oh my god. Oh, look at this guy's going. Come on, Windy, do a manual. Ooh. Oh, wait, no, I can't leave the level.
You know what? I don't even care that we didn't get to see 2002 video game Breach. This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
You ever seen a half-naked skinny woman fall off of a BMX and immediately turn into a bridge? Well, now you have. Stairs? Pfft, who needs stairs? We've got facial hair and a nappy. Stairs don't apply to us. Okay, Windy, time for a backflip. Oh no, Windy, your beautiful legs.
Okay, so to be fair, Australia did eventually get this game with all of the sex references and vulgar content removed, but that wasn't until way later when all of the controversial hype already died down. So at the end of the day, what you're left with at the core is a BMXing game. And that's a shame because the game is shit.
As it turns out, BMXXXX Xbox was originally supposed to be the third game in the Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX franchise before Dave Mirra himself caught on how tasteless and terrible the final game was going to be and threatened to sue Acclaim unless all mention of him or implications he endorsed it were removed. And that explains everything for why I hate playing this, because I don't like the Dave Mirra games. They're just a slower, stiffer, and more restrictive Tony Hawk to me. And that's when they work properly. But that's the thing with BMXXX. It's based on a game I already don't like, and it doesn't work properly. Grinds cancel out for absolutely no reason at all. Grinds randomly don't activate for no reason at all. The camera is too close to you. You get stuck in between the ramps for no reason at all. You fall off your bike randomly for no reason at all. It's absolutely unplayable, and I know this is my fault, but I'm starting to get sick of looking at this overgrown, skinny clown baby, so surely there has to be a way for us to see what else is hiding on this disc. Aha! The cheat menu. perfect. Unlock absolutely everything, and just for the hell of it, extra bouncy crash mode. Time to go back to Create a Rider, and let's see if this time we can get... What? Yeah, sorry about the pixelation. I don't want YouTube to take this video down entirely, but trust me, you can see them. And they have a huge vein. And with this newfound power at my disposal, here is my newest creation. Everyone, meet Rough Windy. If she was road legal, she'd be all-wheel drive. And don't worry everyone, just in case you really wanted to, you can adjust the size of her chest. Except it doesn't change the size of her chest at all, it just inflates the bones above them instead, because I'm sure somebody finds that hot.
So instead, let's move on to something a lot nicer to look at. A game with two names in one, Yeti Sports, or a punchline to a joke from 1406. What did the man in the cellar say to the other man who came down his cellar and asked him if those bottles there were ports? Yee, 'tis ports. Now listen, I know it's really hard to ignore the horrible, awful British man in the middle, but don't worry, I figured out the intent behind everything on this cover. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Is this game a shitpost? I'm actually convinced it is, not just from the cover or the title, but the back as well. The first screenshot is of a minigame with 0 points and 0 time on the counter before it even began. The third screenshot is of a nightmare during the peak of a fever, and the second screenshot is of a HD man with a look of abject terror on his face as his middle finger got cut off while playing Yeti volleyball. Don't worry man, you won't need a finger for every game. I'm sure you can play another one of the other 6 party games. Please sit back for a moment and observe my live reactions to the game first booting up and playing the menu music at me.
Ready?
Now I feel as though we are seriously scraping with this one, if it wasn't clear enough already. Not only do you have more and more of the exact same bull as we've already seen before, with hitting things back coming towards you, playing baseball and moving around with your arms extended, R.I.P. Big J, but it also goes out of its way to not go out of its way, and the lag across the whole thing makes playing every minigame completely impossible. Just look at the state of baseball. In the first attempt, I didn't hit the penguin at all when I absolutely should have done, but look what happens even when I do manage to hit the penguin. Playing Yeti Sports is like calling someone down for dinner and then they don't appear for a minute and a half. You make a move and then just nothing happens until the game solves a quadratic equation before doing the move. I can't give you anything else, Yeti Sports. I know you need more, but I can't provide it. I'm stretched too thin. I have bills. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, the camera looks like phlegm on toast, but it doesn't. I focused it through the game's own focus menu. Yeti Sports just does this to the camera. The game itself makes the camera uglier. Was the idea to make me look as fuzzy as the body outline here, because it is working. I look like the missing link. Look at my teeth. Why are they that color? It looks like I'm eating a mango. What have you got to say for yourself, Yeti Sports? Yeah, you know, the classic skateboarding series. Metal Gear Solid? After the original Metal Gear Solid on the PS1 blew everyone away, with Solid Snake being the only character in a video game able to pull off a 1080-degree quadruple pop shove it, here he is, back at it again on the PS2 and pulling off some steezy tricks all up in Arsenal Gear's rectum. Yes, that's what it's called. You are skating on a robot's poo muscles. This is the most incredible, yet most uncanny thing I've ever seen. Obviously, if you know MGS pretty well, this may appear to be a joke or a fan mod on top of an existing skating game. But no, this is an official Metal Gear Solid skating game with its own kick-ass hard rock remix of the theme song. This is actually a bonus feature on the re-release of the original MGS2 known as Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, but only on the PS2 version. It's a great little pack. It comes with the main game obviously, but also gives you a making of DVD, more than 350 VR missions, the chance to replay the main story missions from Snake's perspective instead of Raiden's, and this bloody ridiculous skateboarding minigame built entirely on top of the engine for another Konami game that had just been released, Evolution Skateboarding. I guess they wanted to try advertising this game to me by slipping it into a Metal Gear Solid skin, but they overdid it if you ask me, because I've got absolutely no reason to play that one if I've already got this. Look at it, why would I ever want to play the other one?
Disney Sports Skateboarding. Oh boy!
Alright, am I going mad, or am I the only one here who thinks this intro music doesn't even remotely fit against what you're seeing? It's almost like taking the characters from a legacy of cartoons in the 1930s doesn't fit in extreme sports culture 70 years later. If I had to pick anybody to trudge through this, I guess I'll have to go with Max, because at least he... exaggeration, if you love falling down and scarring yourself on tarmac, this game is for you. It's hard enough just trying to wield the heavy controls here, but even on this first stage, you will get run down by cars more times than a group of badgers in mating season. It's absolutely exhausting. You just crash into cars constantly, and you never see them coming either. And if you aren't being run down by people looking to cook up a dead dog into their stew, you're playing one of the worst skateboarding games ever made. If, of course, you're even able to play it at all from how it moves along like a slug in a pot of glue. The controls are so rigid here, not only because you have to keep topping up your speed by holding forward, which just doesn't feel natural at all, but you can barely get any air from a standard ollie, making grinds and simple kickflips feel like a lottery. Plus, you need to try dealing with these horrific controls while navigating some of the most cramped and unnaturally awkward level design that would be hard enough to platform across, let alone skate. And if that wasn't enough, this is the most consistently obnoxiously loud game I think I've ever played, constantly yelling at you with a dude bro surfer voice after you do practically anything.
Now, here's a question. What do these two have in common? That's right. They're video games, just like this one. With special thanks to Nike Motion Works, here we have Toy Kinect. Oh, wait, sorry, that's another thing. This is a game for keeping fit, and it's gonna read your body movements to help you get your exercise in. I remember the last time a game told me it would do that.
Yeah, I disappeared. Mel, where have I gone?
Don't worry though, it's gonna cover all the main areas. Cardio, combat, toning, minge body. The game even comes packaged with a new fancy wide-angle lens to stick on your current camera so that it can see your whole body. I've got to hand it to this game so far. For PS2, it looks really good. I've played Xbox 360 games that look as good as this. It's just a shame that it's all for a game about exercise. It's okay though, I'm ready. My name is Fit Buff. I'm 8'1", I'm 96, and I weigh 2 pounds. Now hold it. Yeah. Now, I wish I could have some fun with this in the same vein as Get Fit with Mel B, but since the iToy camera itself isn't quite as advanced as Kinect, it's a little limited with interacting with the world around you.
It's okay though. Whatever the game has in store for me, I'm ready. I like to keep fit in my own time, because you see, when you...
Thrasher's Skate and Destroy for the PS1. But what do I pick on the main menu? Options, or skate. And what character do I want to pick? Scab? Oh god, your parents must have hated you. I'm choosing you based on that name alone. Oh, and I can make you shirtless? But then we'll see all of your scabs. What's my name? Well, you know what? You can't improve on perfection, so I'm gonna keep it as Scab. Now, this game is great. Wanna know why? Well, first of all, it's because you don't only push your board with the X button and that's all it does, but it's also because each button on the controller corresponds to a different trick. You ollie with square, but kickflip with triangle and 180 spin with circle. Yes, instead of ollieing and spinning yourself around with the D-pad or the shoulder buttons, you press a single button that spins for you. Sound confusing? Well, wait until you get involved with these stages then. Oh boy. This is as barren and basic as you can get. You only need to get the set amount of points and then exit the level. That's it. The problem is though, because something as simple as a kickflip has its own dedicated button, I can't figure out for the life of me how to grind. I just keep pressing any button after I ollie to see if I snap onto a ledge, but nothing works and I end up turning into an electrocuted crab. Right, can I try that again? Oh no, you're just gonna fall off the board before I even move. Thank you. Why have I put my trust into someone called Scab? Oh, and by the way, the levels have their own exit points that you can accidentally just ride into, because there's nothing I love more in a skating game than leaving the level in the middle of a combo. Oh, look at that. That's exactly how I sleep when I'm having a nice dream. And then all of a sudden, the game completely changes perspectives to a police officer with a taser chasing me. What? How do I see what I'm doing if the camera is nowhere near me? Where am I? What's the point of this camera angle? I'm not controlling the policeman, so what's going on? Wait, I failed the mission because I lost the cops? Isn't that the entire idea? I'm not looking for an internship at the police station. I'm a skater boy who says, "See you later, boy." Okay, let's try grinding again, and I don't know, I'm out of ideas. Should I just try pressing the board pushing button?
You're kidding. So let me get this straight. You press the X button to start pushing your board, then hold one of these 3 buttons to ready yourself, let go of the button to do the jump trick, and then press the push button again to grind.
What is it with Tony Hawk ripoffs and never ripping off what made the game so enjoyable in the first place? This is gormless. Who wants to sit there and learn all of these stupid specific actions just to do a single trick that takes 2 button presses in any other skating game? You can't snap onto the rails either. No, you have to land on on them perfectly while pressing the push button, because we've got to be realistic in our skating game with edges of curbs that push you backwards and ragdoll physics.
Hey, how are you doing?
Okay, I hear the sirens coming, it's time to leave the level before the game turns into the police version of Doom. And I lost anyway. Cool, thanks again, Scab. Skate and destroy!
Where was the destruction? Oh, yeah, Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure. I forgot to film anything funny.
Okay, well, terrifying box art aside, could this really be any worse than Disney Sports Skateboarding? It did come out a year afterwards, so did they learn anything? Oh, what's this? Our good friends at Toys for Bob made a return? Wasn't expecting that at all. And Tony Hawk's Raspberry Jam wasn't too bad, so maybe this one is actually good. Okay, wait a sec, hang on. Did I put a Disney game in here or Tony Hawk Jr.? Where are the cartoons? I mean, yeah, this kid kinda looks like Mickey Mouse, but this isn't Disney at all. So apparently when this game was being made, Disney themselves must have run a competition to get one real-life boy and one real-life girl to star as themselves in this game, and the winners of these skating tournaments were the deciding factor. That's pretty cool, I've got to be honest. But why the hell would I want to play as them when I can play as a wide gaping mouth Woody? Or how about Dead-Eye Buzz, Ripped Simba, Inside Out Teeth Tarzan, or Drunk Pumbaa? What's my name this time? That's easy. Meat. And this game is good. Actually, this game is really damn good. I'm stunned. A game with this cover actually may be one of the best skating games I've ever played that isn't from Tony Hawk, and Woody Bailing looks hilarious. If you want to play an explorative, mission-based collectathon skating game but don't want Tony Hawk, you play this. It even caters to newcomers and young people with a special kid mode that gives you automatic grinds and special tricks just for pressing singular buttons. And then the pro mode is exactly like regular Tony Hawk with all the familiar button layouts and direction input styles to make tricks happen. And I must stress for a second, if you make a skating game, copying Tony Hawk controls entirely is not a requirement and doesn't automatically make your game good. If you've got an original take, I'm all for it. But the thing is, the Tony Hawk control style is so simple to grasp and makes perfect sense for veterans or beginners. Whereas going too out of the box with something like Thrasher's Skate and Destroy with separate trick buttons and a push button that's also a grind button is so unintuitive, it's almost like you playing a driving game that swaps the left and right steer controls around. It's the same reason why most first-person shooters nowadays use triggers to aim and fire and the right stick to move the camera. Tony Hawk Games just found the perfect style of control for this kind of skating game, and improving upon it isn't really possible if you ask me. Hence, Toys for Bob had the very wise idea to license and then utilize the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 engine to make this game. The point is, in this game, you get to skate with your favorite Disney character, Birdie! The gameplay here is awesome. You complete missions by exploring the massive levels and talking to all the characters who need help, while collecting objects hidden all around the area to get you better accustomed to the design of the game. As you finish missions, you unlock more skaters from each Disney movie series, more levels from each Disney movie series, and more customization options for your very own creator skater, where you can end up making some nightmare creations. With my overhanging tummy and fat ankles squeezed into tiny boots, I look just like Honey Boo Boo. Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure is fantastic. I highly recommend it. If you take a Tony Hawk game, remove the men being sick in toilets, and then slap Buzz Lightyear on it, you get this game.
Hulk Hogan's main event.
Okay, good stuff so far. The game recognizes where I am, it reads all my movements fine. I have only loaded up the menu and hit start, but despite that, I can comfortably say this is the ugliest game I've ever seen. Look at Hulk Hogan here. He looks like an Easter egg. And check out these cutscenes. These silent, boring, static, hideous cutscenes. Here I come, lads. Oh my Jesus, look. If his face wasn't awful enough for you, then you'll be thrilled to know that the developers animated him a wobbling gunt. Hulk Hogan's main event is so bottom of the barrel, even the milk mold won't grow on it. If you ever wanted to play a video game adaptation of Happy Slaps, then this is exactly the game for you. You just throw your arms and legs in any direction you want and win. Occasionally you have to guard your face, even though it would look better if it was smashed in, but mostly it's a load of invisible fly swatting until you win.
Oh boy, we're back in the Toy Kinetic cinematic universe. Get ready, mates. It's Toy Kinetic Combat. The Spanish version of this game is very special because it isn't just combat, it's total combat, which makes me mad that we got an incomplete combat. And while I'm on one, Spain didn't just get Toy Kinetic either, they got Toy Kinetic Total Fitness. Why did we miss out, England? Until I saw these games, I didn't realize that if I ever wanted to learn how to fight somebody, all I've got to do is get fit first and then stand the other way. Fun fact, I don't own any promotional press copies of games. They're usually a bit Yeah, but there is one that I do own now, and it's for Toy Kinetic Combat of all things. And when filming this bit, I hadn't opened it yet, so I was super excited. You know, the modern games, they tend to have a lot of really cool shit in them, along with the game, obviously. So yeah, you've got the game, and then you've got the lens adapter, I think that is. Yep, that's that there. But yeah, modern games tend to have a lot of stuff in with the promo so that they can share good social media shit, and retro games like this one don't have anything else in them other than the disc, and that's it. Okay everyone, time to set your wide-angled Ring doorbell up on top of the TV. Just make sure you've got enough space in whatever house you live in to see every single part of your body with no other objects around you. You know, like this lady, who lives in a house that we can all relate to. This is the everyman of houses, and if you don't have a house perfectly tailored to the fitness program, then you're just a pleb who probably looks like this. You want to hear the saddest part though? This is exactly the same game as Toy Kinetic, and I will not have any slag tell me otherwise. The only difference here is that you've got more ways to play all the different fitness games because you aren't committed to a weekly schedule, but it's still the same kind of idea, just with more murdering endangered panthers. The biggest issue though is that it really does require that you play the game not from your house, but from an empty jet plane hangar, because there is no reliable way to punch and kick in a regular sized space. Oh yes, we're kicking on iToy now, and it only took 22 games to get here. They want you to be proper and accurate to the teachings, but how are you supposed to do that when the best camera position you can get can't reach your feet and makes your target 1/3 of the size of you? You're so tall, they don't measure you in feet, they measure you in legs. And when it works, it is impressive how accurate it is, granted, but when you're screamed at to punch, kick, and avoid attacks by moving as quickly as you can, it's just not feasible in a British house. The target. It became easier for me to stop listening to the angry trainer and just stay hunched over. Hey, it worked, and I don't see you making it work, so who's the laughing stock now?
So here we go, Ant's Extreme Racing for the PS2. Don't ask me how he got into Extreme Racing, I think it might have been the crack. Okay, so this is the best idea for a racer I've ever heard. You take a movie not necessarily made for kids, all about communism, propaganda, individuality, the politics of war, and exploitation of the working class for the benefit of the self-proclaimed strongest,
and then turn it into a kart racer for toddlers.
Now, you may think that £3 isn't that much for a PS2 racing game based on the movie Ants, but this is actually the most I paid for any of the games in this video so far, so my expectations are through the roof. Okay, I know I jest, but you know what? I actually think this is the best game we have so far. I'm stunned. Or should I say, stung. As ridiculous as the idea of a kart racer based on the Ants movie is, I'm shocked at how good this game is for a kart racer that was universally hated when it came out. I mean, sure, everything else around the gameplay sucks a little bit, like the bland menus, barely any voice acting, and terrible soundtrack that doesn't fit with anything going on the screen. But the rest of it I really think is well done. You've got multiple vehicle types for races, allowing you to drive, climb, board, run, or fly. Great controls for all of those types that all feel different from each other. You get really great tracks with creative obstacles and plenty of shortcuts. You get kick-ass power-ups like the oh-so-satisfying boost. You get some really damn good graphics for a 2002 PS2 game. I mean, look at these character models. And if you get hit, the responsive and zippy control style even allows you to correct the spin-out. This is a good game we have here. Check out the level of detail even. All the cars are being powered by slave insects, and all the wheels are made from shirt buttons and eraser heads. There's a gag at the end of every race too, showing you what position you came against every other ant in your colony. Basically, if you can get your head around how stupid the idea of a Sylvester Stallone and Christopher Walken kart racing game is, I really think you might like this one. A 3-lap driving race in the rain. Can't really make any jokes about this one. It's a solid racing game.
And hey, while we're on the subject of Disney...
Yeah, did you forget that Disney owned The Simpsons? I forget that at least once every 2 days. But I'll never forget the first time I played Simpsons Skateboarding on the PS2. Yes, once again, I'm revisiting another game from the vaults of my old horrible reviews. Like a cockroach after a nuke, my past always comes back to make me itch. Well, hey, look at that. The first thing I see in this game is something that makes absolutely no sense. And the sad thing is that this still makes more sense than anything else you're about to see. The intro to this game is quite simply hideous. One of the worst I've ever seen. It's just a barrage of colors and an onslaught of ugly edits enough to give you a seizure or make you feel like you're dying from leprosy. I mean, look at this, come on. They couldn't even cut out the white in between Bart's armpit. And then after possibly the worst intro of all time, you get greeted to one of the worst opening themes of all time that either sounds like your CD is scratched or you're having convulsions. After this,
Well, this screenshot here should tell you all you need to know about the level of quality we're dealing with. Marge looking like a squid, and Homer looking like a week-old can of Spam. This is easily one of the ugliest PS2 games ever made from the starting gate, and then you actually get going and think to yourself, oh, you know, maybe I should try doing some tricks on the ground right now, like in every skateboarding game ever made. But oh no, you can't. Oh no! No joke, if you try to do something as simple as a kickflip, 75% of the time it won't work, and you'll be eating some grass-covered din-dins instead. Once again, you've got to push yourself along with a forward push without automatic acceleration from holding down your ollie button, taking all the flow and momentum out of the gameplay, but I'd be able to get my head around this if the game let me push my board up slightly steep slopes, or let me get out of half-pipe bowls that I can't escape from. But you can't. This then compounds with an absolutely pathetic ollie that sometimes flies you up to space and other times barely leaves the ground, meaning that you won't clear gaps, and sometimes you'll just accelerate from 0 to piss off in half a second. Absolutely nothing works in this game. It's actually a miracle how broken it is, as well as ugly. I mean, you look at that and tell me that's a person. That's not a person, it's a mound of beef. Don't forget the overly sensitive balance meter either. Or the fact that you have running commentary from your character and Kent Brockman throughout the entire game, and none of them ever shut up. Sure, you could always argue that all these different characters have different stats that are better for different kinds of skateboarding tricks, but what I'm gonna say in response to that is that Tony Hawk also has that system, but you're not absolutely incompetent at the start of the game. You can still do things, even if not as good as you will be able to later, but here, you can't do anything. I mean, look at this. Most of the time, you can't even grind anyway, and instead have the rail stick itself through your head. This is absolutely, categorically definitive garbage. The Bubsy 3D of sports games, probably one of the worst ever made. Sure, Phoenix Games had this abomination 5 years after Simpsons Skateboarding, but considering this is the Simpsons and sold at a much higher price than a Phoenix game ever would, I'm shocked that no one seemed to care if this game even worked. I don't know how anybody in the dev team tested this and thought it was passable. It's borderline impossible to play. It's not even so bad, it's good. I don't feel any misguided passion or overinflated egos behind the creation of this. All I feel is the bitterness of an entire team who didn't want to make this. Considering it was aimed at kids as well, who probably didn't know or care who a Tony Hawk was, it's probably the most cynical cash grab ever made for a licensed game. It copies the Tony Hawk level design, Tony Hawk game structure, Tony Hawk mission style, and even Tony Hawk button layout, but butchers every other element up so magnificently, it makes me question why they didn't just do a full-blown rip-off of Tony Hawk entirely. Sure, it would have been unoriginal, but it would have been a good game. Look at this. If you even somehow managed to win a single thing in this game, all that satisfaction and frustration is spat back in your face as you only make 10 cents for it. Are you telling me that I'm going through all of this toss for a grand prize of $99? Are you insane? I use that kind of money to blow my nose and wipe it on homeless people, and you're expecting me to nearly die for that? $99? Shred Springfield?
With pleasure.
I guess it was only inevitable, but I'm surprised it happened so late anyway. Here is iToy Play Sports. And at very first, I thought I was in for a grey day, because in the one-player menu, I could see only 2 games to play. Very clever, iToy Play Sports. 1 game less, and you would have to call yourself iToy Play Sport. Luckily though, my fears were put to rest as soon as I booted up this golf game and realised that you have to win minigames to win golf. And then my fears came flooding back once I saw what they did to my lovely face. So yeah, what you actually do in this one-player golf game is choose whether or not you want a hard minigame for a longer shot or an easy minigame for a weaker shot. Risk versus reward. And I say minigame, but honestly, this is more micro games. It's iToy WarioWare. There's no time to rest, the games change up every few seconds and they barely last 10 to 30 seconds on their own before you make your next move, so take aim, jump up, and bowl over. Catch the baseball, serve the tennis ball, save the goals, bounce the ball, break the sticks, avoid the sticks, string the racket, hang the gliding, spot the correct horse that won the race, do the math. Alright, no time to stop here, so get off your pudgy ass and move it. Come on, let's go. That McDonald's isn't gonna shift itself, you gotta go. If you want variety, then this is the iToy game to go for. It's everything that made the other in-house developed iToy games fun and working, but now with much more to do and in much more manageable bites. Can we just take another second to notice how surprisingly well this thing works despite being 20 years old? I'm sorry, I don't want to say that I was right, but I was right. This thing is better than Kinect so far. It works better and the games are more fun. Yeah, I'll die on this hill. The only things that make it worse are when people don't know how to make a game. It's not the camera's fault.
Tony Hawk Ride on the Xbox 360. Tony Hawk rode off.
So this game, this bloody game here, this 7th generation console classic, just so happened to be developed by Robo Modo, the same lovely chaps behind Tony Hawk's Pro Hate My Life 5. And immediately you must be asking yourself, why such a big books? Well, because this entire game is controlled by this infernal thing.
Oh yes, by using your body weight and these fancy sensors dotted all over the board, this game expects you to have some tiny amount of skating ability before going into it, or at least the experience of being able to stand and weight shift on a board. And I'll give credit where it's due. This thing is solidly constructed. It's not that flimsy. In fact, if you stuck trucks and wheels on it, you could feasibly skate on it. So, well done. Which also means I can smash it over and over again against a wall and it will never break.
Wow, after 10 years of games, I can finally ride Tony Hawk. And in order for you to see what the hell it is I'm experiencing, I decided to install this special Jim Jam cam so that you can get the best view of every angle once Tony Hawk gets ridden. So right off the bat, this game begins in the dumbest way I've ever seen. Why go to the effort of making a super expensive experimental gaming peripheral and then put controller buttons on it, including a start button, only to then tell me that I need a controller to navigate the menus and hit the start button on that anyway? If we were gonna do that, why don't we just, I don't know, play the game with the controller?
What you have in your hands is one of the most advanced game controllers ever made.
Oh, you don't say.
Here's my skater, and his name is Bungalow because his hair looks a bit like a thatched roof. Now, if you're a little concerned about playing this because you've never touched a skateboard in your life, I really wouldn't worry. Firstly, because this thing doesn't slip. And secondly, because even if you have a little bit of experience, like me, you will not make this game work. I repeat, you will not make this game work.
I didn't even do that!
Oh sure, I can push the board, I can manual, and I can certainly ollie, but performing specific tricks is an utter nightmare. This board cannot read the more subtle motions it needs to activate certain tricks, and so on this tutorial here, the first 3 minutes of the game, no matter how many damn tries I gave it attempting this trick here, it never, ever worked. What am I doing wrong here? Am I not riding you hard enough, Tone? And this is just for the tutorial. Sometimes even things as basic as an ollie doesn't even register. For a game so focused on performing tricks and keeping balance at high speeds while jumping onto objects, the fact that this controller only lets you perform something as basic as a jump sometimes is enough of a reason why it's a piece of shit that should never have been released. If a new player has just as much chance and luck performing a trick as somebody who put hundreds of hours into it, the game probably blows. And taking that aside, the gameplay that you're treated with here can't be enjoyed, since you approach every single objective in exactly the same way. That being, you just trying to make a move happen. Forget combos, forget doing specific tricks over specific gaps or anything, you're just trying to do the basics from the start to the end. Mix that in with some pretty motion sickness inducing graphics and all the elements blend into a delicate mix of piss and vinegar. I don't care about what fancy tech you have, I just want to spend my money on a game that works. And Tony Hawk Ride does not work. Look, I just got some of my highest scores and fanciest tricks just rocking the board in any direction I could. How is this fair? And check this out, I was able to get better and more consistent results by sitting down on the shitting thing. How is it that I can't do this, but by sitting on my stupid ass, I'm able to do this? In fact, how could they even say this is the most realistic skating game of all time when Tony Hawk's own series already said that itself a few games ago in Project 8? So real, you don't just skate it, you feel it.
Up next, we have Kung Fu Panda on the Xbox 360, jumping back up a generation. But before we get into it, I just wanted to quickly show you a free-to-play 3D online turn-based multiplayer battle game that came out at the same time as the movie.
It was called Poe's Kung Fu Challenge, and it looks like that feeling you get when you step on Lego. And now the 360 version. This game is essentially a hack and slash platformer with light and heavy attacks that you can mix together into combos, special moves that require energy to use, weapons that do immense damage but break very quickly, a guard, and a roll. So imagine if Bayonetta was made for 5-year-olds instead of people with the horn. Now, aside from a terrible first impression and the jank present in some of the graphics, this isn't actually all that bad. I mean, it's simple, it is a kid's game after all, but I can think of worse ways to ease a kid into the world of Devil May Cry. There's even upgrades you can purchase in between the stages with the coins that you find, and after one level, I decided to invest everything into a fully powered belly flop. Wanna know why? This snaps the game like a twig. I'm murdering every small enemy in one single flop. But come on, it is incredibly satisfying. Even if you don't want to do that, you can always roll into a ball and bowl everyone over. Do you think that a giant wooden hand endlessly thrusting against a wall would be covered in your rent? Overall, Kung Fu Panda, I'm pleasantly surprised. You're okay. You're nothing more than okay, but you are okay.
The final game ever made for the PS2 iToy before it stopped having games made for it.
If there is one thing that iToy Play Pompom Party proves above anything else, it's that I'm not funny. Which I already knew, but now it's an indisputable fact, because this game, not only being the final iToy exclusive release before it bit the dust, but also coming out the same year as GTA 4, Metal Gear Solid 4, and Dead Space, is a joke that I am just unable to make up myself. It's also one of the most progressive games of the time, not because of all the race inclusions on the box, but all the species inclusions. You've got girl, fish, 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 and fish. That's not the only interesting thing about it either, for deep within the kitchen sink U-bend copper piping box is not only the game, but 2 iToy branded cheerleading pom-poms, which are now unironically the coolest things I probably own right now. The Skate Trilogy. The thing that makes the Skate games so brilliant is that they don't copy the Tony Hawk control style at all, but give you a control scheme that feels just as natural as Tony Hawk, while at the same time being 10 times more difficult to get right, but 10 times more rewarding to nail once you do get it right. You wanna know how these games work? Okay, you push the board with A, grab the board with your left hand with the left trigger, use the right trigger for your right hand, and everything else is done with the analog sticks. Turning left and right, slowing down, and even pumping your body weight up and down ramps to build momentum is done with the left analog stick, while the right analog stick just has a bloody party with your thumb, as you need to pull it back and then flick it in certain directions to perform ollies and flip tricks. Depending on the direction you push or pull the right stick to ready a trick, and then depending on the shape your thumb makes the stick move as you flick it, that's how you perform tricks. And some of the more impressive tricks do feel incredible to pull off once you get the hang of it, especially when building it into a combo. Oh, and you also push the right stick forward halfway or pull it back halfway and hold it to stay in manuals, which, if your thumb is very precise, can also be linked into more combos. You even need to angle yourself correctly and apply the correct amount of speed to your stick flicking in order to correctly land on rails to grind them without jumping too high or too low. But because the physics feel so grounded and the speed realistic, it feels way more natural here than the insanity in Tony Hawk, which needs to make you snap onto the rails or else you'll overshoot every grind in the whole game. The Skate Trilogy takes what is, on paper, one of the most player-unfriendly and insane control styles for a sports game of all time, and manages to weave the impossible into a ruthlessly challenging, yet unbelievably rewarding series of games, and I love them. You get brilliant career modes, incredible soundtracks, some of the deepest customization in a skating game, real-time replay editing with multiple camera angles and effects, tons of stuff to unlock, and the main gameplay features and control style just kept getting more refined in each game. Up until Skate 3, where in my opinion it kind of implodes on itself. I mean, I do love the improved camera in that game, but oh, this no good. Skate 2 is probably my favorite from the trilogy though. 1 is a great time, but definitely feels like the first game in comparison to Skate 2. In that game, there's way more to do, it looks beautiful for the Xbox 360, runs at a consistent 60 FPS, and it feels much tighter to play and less loose than the first game. Your board felt like an extension to yourself, more than an unwieldy beast that did whatever it wanted. Not to mention, this game gave you the ability to get off your board and walk around when you couldn't skate to certain areas, and you could fail tricks by just tripping over and losing the
the board instead of falling flat on your face every single time like in Skate 1. Oh, and how about those multiplayer modes for the party games? Hall of Meat! Oh, Hall of Meat, I'm looking right at you. A local multiplayer mode dedicated to you trying to deliberately outperform your partner in the most painful and insane bails you can while jumping off of ramps the size of skyscrapers. You can't not love this feature. Skate 3 is a good game, I guess. It's basically more of Skate 2 with a few added bells and whistles, but it ended up taking away a few other things, and it's glitchy up the hole. I'm sure you've all seen enough glitch compilations on YouTube to know that little tidbit. Yeah, Skate 3 has the park editor and the X-ray feature when you break a bone after a bail, but the local multiplayer is piss compared to 2, and again, this stuff kind of gets in the way for me. Look at the AI in Skate 3, it's practically suicidal. No other skate game I played had other skaters interrupting my tricks more than in Skate 3. For me, no other skating games feel as much like you're climbing up the ranks in career mode as the skate games. Not only because the missions mirror real life much more, unlike Tony Hawk's arcadey silliness, but because the open world here feels as close to a regular location as you would see in real life. Yet, everything has been carefully designed to be skateable, and the speed that you can reach is extremely cathartic.
But if you don't want to dust off your old PS3 or Xbox 360 to try these out again, don't worry, because I managed to find 2 games on Steam made by indie devs who are trying to carry on the legacy left behind by Skate. Session and Skater XL.
Now don't worry, this won't take me too long to discuss, because Skater XL is a decent attempt at the skate formula while standing out with a unique left foot on the left stick and right foot on the right stick system, but it costs way too much money for a game that doesn't have any real meaty content to it. And Session is in early access. That, and I just can't get my head around these controls. You fall off of your board so much as a gust of wind breathes on you, and this tutorial here is arguably more difficult than standing up. Like, you hold the right stick down or the left stick forward to bend down, then flick the left stick or the right stick to pop up the board the opposite direction, and you can't grind on a rail unless you push both of the sticks in opposite directions and hold them while you're landing on the rail. I can't. I appreciate the effort here, but my fingers can't bend backwards. And I would love to check out this new game called Deck Splash, but that ended up being cancelled, which I'm happy about because that sounds too much like Dick Splash.
The thing is, guys, there's only so many different ways I can tell you how a skateboarding game plays because they all really set out to accomplish the same thing.